This is an all-new dip nib. It's made from high-grade titanium and has a more elaborate design than Kakimori's popular steel dip nib. It's also a smoother and more consistent writer than a Drillog, and yet it's more affordable than those nibs. It's made by Eureka. They're a small pen maker in South Korea that made a splash last year with their conical stub nib. That one was made from the same high-grade titanium alloy called Grade 5 ELI. I did a whole video on that nib, so I'll link that down below if you're curious. Back in December, Eureka posted on Instagram saying they have developed a new titanium dip nib. Details were sparse, but the photos were intriguing. Then in January they posted again. The nib was finally up for order. No holder yet though, just a nib. I ordered 2 right away. A few days later they showed up. Just 2 nibs in a small Ziploc bag with some bubble wrap. Not exactly fancy packaging. I was keen to try them out but struggled a bit to find a suitable holder. As you can see, the nib has these threads on the back and doesn't fit normal dip nib holders, unlike the Kakimori. After some trial and error, I ended up sticking it on a Eureka Sport. I pulled out the original nib and feed, wrapped some scotch tape around the Eureka nib's threads and jammed it in. I'm sure there's a better way, but this worked for me and I just wanted to use it as soon as possible. If you look closely, you'll see that it has 8 ink channels, as well as these fins, for lack of a better word, that trap the ink. So in theory, that means it should hold quite a bit of ink. And it does. In my test, I could write about an entire A5 page. I tried a few different inks and the results were pretty much the same with all of them. That's plenty for me since I mostly use dip nibs just to test out new inks. It's slightly less than what I get with the Kakimori though. I suspect that's because the Kakimori has deeper channels. The nib width is somewhere between a medium and a broad, so it is wider than a Kakimori. Like most dip nibs, it puts down more ink than a fountain pen, but it's not as wet as a glass nib like this Chemist Labo here. In fact, the Eureka nib keeps the ink flow nice and steady. There isn't really any line variation, it's more of a monoline, and I think that might be on purpose. Even when I hold it at a low angle, I can't get those broad strokes. The Kakimori nib, on the other hand, goes from a fine line to a paintbrush depending on the angle. You also get these lovely brush-like tapered strokes that I really enjoy. Eureka says these nibs might feel scratchy at first and will get smoother over time. Mine felt smooth right away though. Maybe I got lucky, or maybe there is some variation in how they're made. 2 other competitors in this space are Drillog and Itoya. I only tested the first version of the Drillog, but I remember it being awfully scratchy and it only worked with certain inks. In my opinion, it wasn't a very good product. Itoya's new dip nib is made from that same high-grade titanium alloy and it puts down a much finer line than Eureka. And you also get these super broad strokes at low angle. But the thing is, it's way more expensive, like 20 times as much. This Eureka nib was $30 originally. That's what I paid, but then I got a surprise partial refund a few days later. Eureka decided to drop the price to $25. You don't see that every day. Overall, I'm happy with the Eureka nib. It's a smooth writer, it holds a decent amount of ink, and the price is just incredibly aggressive. I do wish it was compatible with standard nib holders though, and I wish it had some line variation. Personally, I do think the Kakimori nibs are more fun to use, but that's just a matter of taste. I also wonder how this nib would handle shimmering inks, since the ink channels get quite narrow near the tip and might clog easily. Unfortunately, I don't have any shimmering inks on hand to test this. If you want one of these but don't feel like hacking a pen to make it fit, just wait a few more weeks. Eureka says their own nib holders should be ready soon. If you liked this video, please consider subscribing and giving it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching.